Here's the uncomfortable truth no one tells intelligent women. Your ability to analyze, understand, and see the best in people is the exact same ability that keeps you trapped in relationships with men who will never meet you where you are. You're not failing at love. You're overqualified for the wrong job. If you've ever looked back at a relationship and thought, "How did I not see this coming?" This video is for you. If you've ever been told you're too smart to put up with someone, yet found yourself doing exactly that, stay. Because today, we're going to dismantle something that's been quietly running your love life from the shadows. Not your standards, not your worth, but the invisible architecture of your psychology. The patterns, the wiring, the subconscious software that keeps selecting for chaos disguised as chemistry. This isn't about blaming yourself, and it's definitely not about blaming men. This is about understanding, with precision and compassion, why your brilliant mind keeps leading you into emotional dead ends. And more importantly, how to rewire your internal compass so that the right kind of love finally feels like home. Let's begin. The real reason. Smart women attract emotionally unavailable men. Let's start with a paradox. You'd think that being intelligent, self-aware, and emotionally articulate would make you better at choosing partners. And in some ways, it does. You can spot manipulation. You can identify inconsistency. You can read between the lines of what someone says and what they actually mean. But here's what no one tells you. Intelligence doesn't protect you from emotional blind spots. In fact, sometimes it creates them. Here's why. Smart women are pattern seekers. You're wired to make sense of things, to find meaning, to solve puzzles, to understand the why behind behavior. And that's a gift, until it becomes a trap. Because when you meet a man who's emotionally inconsistent, who runs hot and cold, who's charming but unavailable, who gives you just enough to keep you hoping, your brain doesn't register danger. It registers a problem to solve. And you're good at solving problems. So instead of walking away, you lean in. You analyze. You justify. You think, maybe he's been hurt before. Maybe he just needs someone who understands him. Maybe I can be the one who finally gets through. You're not attracted to him. You're attracted to his potential. And potential is the most dangerous thing a smart woman can fall in love with, because it doesn't exist yet. You're building a relationship with a future version of someone who may never arrive. Meanwhile, emotionally unavailable men are drawn to you because of your depth, your warmth, your ability to hold space. They sense that you won't abandon them easily, that you'll try to understand them, that you'll stay longer than you should. And so a cycle begins. You give, he withdraws. You reach, he retreats. You explain, he deflects. And somehow, you keep thinking you're the one who needs to try harder. But here's the truth. You were never the problem. You were just the one willing to keep solving for someone who didn't want to be solved. The subconscious patterns running in the background. Now let's go deeper, into the part of your mind you don't have direct access to. Because attraction isn't random, it's patterned. And those patterns were formed long before you ever swiped right or locked eyes with someone across a room. Your subconscious mind doesn't choose partners based on logic. It chooses based on familiarity. And familiar doesn't mean good. It means recognizable. If love in your childhood felt like inconsistency, a parent who was emotionally unpredictable, a caregiver who was physically present but emotionally distant, a household where affection had to be earned, then your nervous system learned to associate love with effort, with uncertainty, with longing. So when you meet someone who gives you that same low-grade anxiety, that push-pull, that "I don't know where I stand," your body doesn't register it as a red flag. It registers it as spark. This is what psychologists call repetition compulsion. It's the unconscious drive to recreate unresolved emotional dynamics from your past. Not because you want to suffer, but because your psyche is trying to heal by replaying the old story with a new ending. You're not choosing him. You're choosing the familiar. And this is why stable, emotionally available men often feel boring. Not because they are boring, but because your nervous system has been calibrated for chaos. Consistency feels flat when you've been trained on highs and lows. A man who texts back on time, who means what he says, who doesn't keep you guessing. He doesn't activate your system. And so you confuse safety with lack of chemistry. Let that land for a moment. You may have rejected good men, not because they weren't right for you, but because your body didn't know how to feel attracted to peace. And this isn't your fault. It's your wiring. But now that you see it, it becomes your responsibility to rewire it. How childhood, attachment style, and self-worth shape attraction. Let's talk about attachment theory, because it's one of the most powerful lenses for understanding why you love the way you do. In the 1960s, psychologist John Bowlby discovered that the bond you form with your primary caregiver in early childhood becomes the template for how you relate to romantic partners as an adult. There are 4 main attachment styles. Secure attachment, formed when your caregivers were consistent, responsive, and emotionally attuned. You learned that it's safe to depend on others, that you're worthy of love. That closeness doesn't mean losing yourself. Anxious attachment, formed when your caregivers were inconsistent, sometimes warm, sometimes cold, sometimes present, sometimes absent. You learn to be hypervigilant, to monitor for signs of rejection, to cling, to chase, to overfunction in relationships. Avoidant attachment, formed when your caregivers were emotionally unavailable or dismissive. You learn to suppress your needs, to rely only on yourself, to equate independence with survival. Disorganized attachment, formed when your caregivers were both a source of fear and a source of comfort. You learned that love is confusing, that closeness is dangerous, that you want connection but also feel terrified of it. Here's the pattern that plays out over and over. Anxiously attached, women are magnetically drawn to avoidantly attached men. Why? Because the avoidant man activates every wound the anxious woman carries. His distance triggers her fear of abandonment. His emotional walls trigger her need to prove she's worthy. His inconsistency triggers her hypervigilance. And so she pursues, and he retreats, and the cycle perpetuates. But here's the part that might sting. On some level, the anxious woman is also avoiding intimacy by choosing partners who can't give it. Because if she chose someone secure, she would have to actually receive love. And receiving love means being truly seen, which means risking the possibility that someone will see all of her and still leave. So she stays in dynamics where she's always reaching, always proving, always earning, because that feels safer than being fully held. If this is landing for you, take a breath. This is deep work, and just seeing it is the first step. Why intelligence doesn't protect you from emotional blind spots. Let's address something directly. You might be thinking, but I know all of this. I've read the books. I've done the therapy. Why do I still end up in the same place? Here's why. Knowing isn't the same as integrating. You can intellectually understand a pattern while still being emotionally fused with it. Your brain can say, "This man isn't good for me," while your body screams, "But it feels like love." And when the mind and the body are in conflict, the body usually wins. This is because your attachment system lives in your nervous system, not your prefrontal cortex. It's pre-verbal, pre-logical. It runs on sensation, not sentences. So when you meet someone who triggers that old wound, your body responds before your brain has time to analyze. You feel the flutter, the pull, the intoxication. And by the time your rational mind catches up, you're already emotionally invested. Smart women don't ignore red flags. They reinterpret them. You see his emotional unavailability and think he's complex. You see his inconsistency and think he's just guarded. You see his unwillingness to commit and think he's been hurt before. And maybe all of that is true. But here's the question you need to ask. Is it your job to heal him? Because every moment you spend decoding, understanding, and waiting for someone's potential to become reality is a moment you're not spending being loved fully right now. Your intelligence is a gift, but it becomes a liability when you use it to justify staying in situations that deplete you. The psychological rewards of choosing the wrong man. Now, let's go somewhere uncomfortable, because if these patterns keep repeating, it means on some level, and I say this with zero judgment, they're serving you, not consciously, not in a way you'd ever choose. But psychologically, there are hidden rewards that keep the cycle alive. Let's name them. Reward number 1. Familiar pain is less scary than unfamiliar peace. Your nervous system is wired for prediction, not happiness. It would rather experience something painful that it knows how to navigate than something peaceful that feels foreign. Choosing emotionally unavailable men keeps you in a known emotional landscape, even if that landscape is barren. Reward number 2. The chase gives you a sense of purpose. When you're trying to win someone's love, you have a mission, a project, a goal. You feel needed, important, indispensable. But the moment someone loves you freely, without you having to earn it, that purpose disappears. And that can feel disorienting, even empty. Reward number 3. Unavailability protects you from true vulnerability. If you choose someone who can't fully show up for you, you never have to fully show up either. You stay in the role of the pursuer, the giver, the one who loves more. And while that's painful, it's also safe. Because you never have to face the terror of being completely seen and still not being enough. Reward number 4. You get to stay loyal to an old story. If you grew up believing love has to be earned, that you had to be perfect or small, or accommodating to be worthy, then being loved unconditionally threatens that belief. Choosing unavailable men allows you to stay loyal to the narrative. I have to work for love. These rewards are not your fault. They're survival strategies your psyche created when you didn't have other options. But you're not that little girl anymore. You have options now, and you can choose differently. How to break the pattern, step by step. Now for the part you've been waiting for. What to actually do. Because awareness alone won't change you. Action will. Here are 7 practices to begin rewiring your attraction patterns. Step 1. Name the pattern without shame. Write it down. Say it out loud. Not as an indictment, but as an observation. I have historically been attracted to emotionally unavailable men because their inconsistency felt like love. When you name something, you externalize it. It stops being who you are and becomes something you do. And what you do can be changed. Step 2. Track your body, not just your thoughts. The next time you feel chemistry with someone, pause. Ask yourself, is this excitement or anxiety? Is this attraction or activation? True connection feels like expansion. Wounding disguised as chemistry feels like gripping, like desperation, like I need to know where I stand. Learn to distinguish between the two. This is nervous system literacy, and it's essential. Step 3. Create a red flag reframe list. Write down the behaviors you've historically romanticized. He's mysterious. He's withholding. He's independent. He's emotionally unavailable. He's intense. He's dysregulated. He's complicated. He's not ready for a relationship. Keep this list. Refer to it when you're tempted to justify someone's behavior. Step 4. Practice tolerating healthy love. This one is counterintuitive, but crucial. If stability has always felt boring to you, you need to practice being in stability without running. Give that nice guy a few more dates. Sit with the discomfort of being treated well. Let your nervous system learn that peace isn't the same as absence of feeling. You may need to grieve what you never had before you can receive what's available now. Step 5. Regulate your nervous system daily. Attraction patterns live in the body, so the work has to happen in the body too. Practice breath work to calm anxious activation, cold exposure, or vagal toning to build resilience, somatic therapy or body-based modalities to release stored trauma, journaling to process emotions before they become projections. A regulated nervous system chooses differently. It's not seduced by chaos. It recognizes safety as desirable, not boring. Step 6. Build a new filter for dating. Instead of asking, "Am I attracted to him?" ask, "Do I feel calm or chaotic around him? Does he pursue me, or do I do all the emotional labor? Does he show up consistently, not just intensely? Can I be myself without performing, explaining, or shrinking?" These questions will filter out 80% of the men who would have wasted your time. Step 7. Upgrade your identity. This is the deepest work. You have to stop identifying as a woman who always picks the wrong guy. That story becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Instead, start telling yourself, and living as if, "I am a woman who is attracted to emotionally available, consistent, secure love. I don't chase, I don't beg, I don't decode, I receive." Identity shifts behavior. Behavior shifts outcomes. Outcomes reinforce identity. Start there. The identity shift. Becoming the woman who no longer tolerates chaos. Here's the final piece. The woman who keeps attracting the wrong men and the woman who attracts healthy love are not the same woman. They don't think the same. They don't feel the same. They don't choose the same. So this isn't about learning new tips or applying a few strategies. This is about becoming someone new. About shedding the version of you that was formed by old pain and stepping into the version of you that was always underneath, waiting to be claimed. The woman who attracts healthy love. She doesn't confuse intensity with intimacy. She doesn't wait around for potential to become reality. She doesn't abandon herself to keep someone else comfortable. She doesn't beg for clarity from someone who's already given her confusion. She has standards, not because she's high maintenance, but because she knows her worth isn't negotiable. And when a man shows her through his actions that he can't meet her where she is, she believes him. The first time. She doesn't stay to teach him how to love her. She doesn't explain what she needs for the 5th time. She doesn't shrink to fit into a space that was never designed for her. She walks, not with anger, not with resentment, but with the quiet confidence of a woman who knows that her next chapter is written by her choices, not her wounds. That woman is not some future version of you. She's you, underneath all the patterns and protective strategies. She's you, unburied. She's you, reclaimed. She's you, free. So let me leave you with this. You are not broken. You are not too much or not enough. You are not cursed in love. You are simply a woman who has been running on outdated programming, software written by your childhood, your wounds, and a culture that taught you to earn what should have been freely given. But you can rewrite that code. You can rewire that circuitry. You can become the woman who no longer needs to decode, chase, or prove. And it starts with seeing, clearly, compassionately, courageously, the patterns that have kept you stuck. you've already begun. If this video helped you understand yourself a little more deeply, imagine what understanding the rest of your psychology could do. This channel is here to help you do exactly that, to decode your mind, your patterns, and your potential. If that resonates, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.